The massive Imperial warships emerged from hyperspace like dark clouds blocking out the stars. Their arrival cast long shadows across Earth's orbital defense platforms, their metal hulls gleaming under Sol's distant light. On Earth Defense Force's main command center, warning signals flashed across every screen. Admiral James Stone stood before the massive holographic display, his weathered face illuminated by the red emergency lights. His gray hair and battle-scarred face reflected decades of military service, though humanity had never faced an external threat until now. He watched as more Imperial ships continued to appear, their numbers growing with each passing minute. "Sir, we're counting over 300 capital ships," reported Officer Mike Wilson, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "They're maintaining high orbit, just outside our defensive grid's optimal range." Stone nodded slowly, studying the enemy formation. The Empire's ships arranged themselves in perfect geometric patterns, displaying a level of coordination that spoke of centuries of military tradition. Their technology was clearly advanced, but there was something mechanical, almost predictable about their movements. "They're hailing us, sir," announced Communications Officer Rachel Brown, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Put it through," Stone ordered, straightening his uniform. A holographic display shifted, revealing a tall, humanoid figure dressed in ornate military regalia. The Imperial commander's skin had a slight purple tinge, and his eyes glowed with an inner light that seemed both beautiful and terrifying. "People of Earth," the Imperial commander's voice boomed through the speakers, automatically translated by their AI systems. "I am High Commander Gray of the Eternal Galactic Empire. For 10,000 years, we have brought order and prosperity to the galaxy. Your civilization has been deemed worthy of integration into our grand empire. Surrender now, and you shall be granted the privilege of serving under Imperial rule." Stone's officers looked at him, waiting for his response. The Admiral took a moment to study the tactical display once more. Earth's defenses were ready, but invisible to the Imperial scans. Humanity had learned long ago to hide their true strength. "High Commander," Stone replied, his voice calm and measured, "we appreciate your offer. However, we must decline. Furthermore, I feel obligated to give you a warning." He paused, making sure he had the alien commander's full attention. "Run, while you still can." Laughter erupted from the Imperial command ship's transmission. Commander Gray's face showed genuine amusement, an expression that looked almost human despite his alien features. "How delightfully primitive," Gray responded, wiping away tears of mirth. "In 3,000 years of Imperial expansion, we have conquered over 300 species. Many try to resist. All now serve the Empire. Your bravado is admirable, but futile." Stone smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You misunderstand, Commander. This isn't bravado. This is mercy." "Mercy?" Gray's amusement turned to anger. "You dare speak of mercy to the Imperial fleet? We have destroyed civilizations far more advanced than yours. Our weapons can crack planets. Our ships number in the millions. And yet," Stone replied softly, "you've never faced humans before." The Admiral turned to Officer Wilson. "Show them why we warned them." "Activate Defense Grid Alpha." Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of previously invisible satellites suddenly powered up. Quantum shields, developed through decades of theoretical research, sprung to life. The Empire's sensors, previously showing a primitive civilization with basic space capability, now revealed a planet bristling with advanced defensive technologies. "Impossible," Gray whispered, his confidence wavering for the first time. "Our scans showed nothing of this level." "Last chance," Stone offered. "Retreat now, and we can avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Stay, and learn why humanity has survived every challenge it has ever faced." The Imperial commander's face hardened. No primitive species dictates terms to the Empire. Battle Group 7, commence the attack. Show these humans the price of defiance. As the Imperial ships moved forward, Stone shook his head sadly. "They never listen," he muttered. Then, louder. "All units, execute Defense Plan Omega. Let's show the galaxy why they should have taken our warning seriously." The battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity was ready to teach the Empire a lesson they would never forget. Never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history preparing for this very moment. Commander Gray's order echoed through space as 30 Imperial warships moved forward. Their golden hulls glowed against the darkness, weapon systems charging with enough power to level cities. On his command bridge, Gray watched with satisfaction as his ships formed the Empire's famous Spear of Destiny attack pattern. "Fire," he commanded. Beams of destructive energy shot toward Earth's orbital defenses. The Imperial crews waited for the familiar sight of explosions and destruction. Instead, their weapons splashed harmlessly against invisible barriers, creating ripples of blue light that quickly faded away. In Earth's command center, Admiral Stone watched calmly. Status report. Quantum shields holding at 99.8%. Officer Wilson reported, almost sounding bored. "Their weapons are powerful, sir, but they're using predictable attack patterns. The AI is already adapting our defenses." Stone nodded. "Time to show them what Earth can do. Launch Counter-Strike Protocol 1. From Earth's dark side, hundreds of small fighters emerged. Unlike the Empire's massive ships, these were sleek, agile, and nearly invisible to Imperial sensors. Each carried a human pilot paired with an AI combat system, a combination that had proven unbeatable in all of Earth's simulations. "Sir," an Imperial officer called out to Gray, "we're detecting multiple small craft. They're moving faster than our targeting systems can track." Gray's confidence wavered as he watched the human fighters weave through his formation. Their movements were chaos theory in action, unpredictable yet perfectly coordinated. Before he could issue new orders, the first explosions rocked his fleet. The human fighters struck with surgical precision, targeting engines and weapon systems. They didn't try to destroy the Imperial ships outright. They disabled them systematically, like a surgeon removing a tumor. "Impossible." Gray slammed his fist on his command console. "These are primitive humans. How are they bypassing our shields?" On Earth, Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Send the second wave. Let's show them what happens when you corner a species that spent its entire history fighting itself." Earth's orbital defense platforms came to life, launching swarms of autonomous drones. Unlike the Imperial ships' rigid formations, these moved like schools of fish, adapting and flowing around enemy fire. Each drone carried a quantum disruptor, a weapon specifically designed to counter the type of shielding technology the Empire used. Battle Group 7 is reporting critical failures across all systems, an Imperial officer reported, fear evident in his voice. "We've lost contact with 6 capital ships." "No, make that 12. Gray watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically torn apart by an enemy he had dismissed as primitive. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were winning and making it look easy. "All ships, retreat," Gray ordered, his voice shaking. "Fall back to secondary positions." But the humans weren't finished. As the Imperial ships tried to withdraw, Earth's quantum disruptors created localized fields that prevented their faster-than-light drives from engaging. They were trapped. Admiral Stone opened a channel to the Imperial flagship. "Commander Gray, your battle group is disabled. Surrender now, and we will treat your crews with respect according to our laws of war." "Laws of war." Gray spat the words out. "You dare speak of laws while using these abominations? No civilized species fights like this." "That's where you're wrong," Stone replied calmly. "We fight to win, not to look impressive. You had your chance to retreat. Now you'll serve as an example to your empire of why they should have listened to our warning." Within an hour, the battle was over. 28 Imperial ships were disabled, their crews evacuated by human rescue vessels. Only 2 had managed to flee, their engines barely functioning enough to limp back to Imperial space. In the aftermath, Stone stood before his command staff. "They'll be back," he said quietly. "And next time, they'll bring their full force. But now they know, humans don't fight fair. We fight to win." Officer Wilson looked at the tactical display, showing the disabled Imperial ships. "Sir, do you think they'll actually learn from this?" Stone shook his head. "No, empires never do. But that's their mistake, not ours. Begin preparing Phase 2 of our defense plan. When they return, we'll be ready to take the fight to them." As cleanup operations began, the captured Imperial crews watched in amazement as their mighty warships were towed away by vessels a fraction of their size. They had learned the hard way what the Empire would soon discover. Humanity's warning hadn't been a boast. It had been a courtesy they chose to ignore. The Imperial High Council chamber fell silent as Commander Gray finished his report. The massive holographic display showed his fleet's devastating defeat, playing on endless repeat before the stunned council members. "Impossible," whispered one of the elder council members, his purple skin pale with shock. "No species has ever." Silence. The Imperial Emperor himself stood, his golden robes gleaming under the chamber's lights. "If these humans want to see the Empire's true power, then they shall have it. Deploy the main fleet, all of it." 3 days later, Admiral Stone stood in Earth's command center, watching as thousands of Imperial warships emerged from hyperspace. The tactical display filled with so many red dots that it looked like a sea of blood. They'd brought nearly 40,000 ships, Officer Wilson reported. His voice was steady, but his hands gripped his console tightly. "This is their main fleet, sir, the one they've used to control half the galaxy." Stone nodded calmly. "Then it's time to wake up, Guardian. Send the code." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility unknown even to most of Earth's governments, a quantum computer core hummed to life. Guardian, humanity's most advanced AI system, had been waiting for this moment. It had spent decades analyzing every possible combat scenario, learning from every war in human history. As the Imperial fleet moved to surround Earth, their sensors detected something new. Hundreds of seemingly abandoned satellites suddenly activated, linking together in a complex network. Before the Empire could react, Guardian took control. "What's happening?" demanded the Imperial fleet commander. "Why are our ships losing power?" Through their linked quantum network, Guardian had found a flaw in Imperial technology. Their standardized systems made them vulnerable to synchronized attacks. The AI began shutting down Imperial ships one by one, using their own power systems against them. But humanity wasn't finished. From hidden bases across the solar system, Earth's real defense forces emerged. Unlike the small fleet that had defeated Gray's battle group, these ships were built for full-scale war. "Launch the Thunder Warriors," Stone ordered. Special transport ships moved into position, carrying Earth's elite soldiers. These weren't normal humans. They were volunteers who had undergone extensive biomechanical enhancement. Each carried powered armor that made them stronger than 10 Imperial soldiers combined. "Sir," Officer Wilson called out, excitement in his voice. "Guardian reports that the Imperial fleet's standardized communications are completely compromised. We can hear everything they're saying." The Imperial commanders panicked as human forces began cutting through their fleet like a hot knife through butter. Their perfectly organized formations fell apart as Guardian predicted and countered every move before they made it. "Fall back. Regroup," the Imperial fleet commander ordered. But it was too late. The Thunder Warriors had already boarded dozens of Imperial ships. Unlike the Empire's rigid combat doctrine, these enhanced soldiers fought with all of humanity's chaos and creativity. They moved in ways the Imperial troops had never seen, using tactics that seemed to defy logic itself. "This is impossible," an Imperial captain screamed over the command channel. "They're not following any known combat protocols. How do we fight an enemy that doesn't follow the rules?" Admiral Stone opened a channel to all Imperial ships. "We warned you to run. Now you understand why. Guardian, execute Phase 3. Across the solar system, hidden weapons platforms revealed themselves, but instead of firing, they began broadcasting a signal that disrupted the Imperial ships faster than light drives. The mighty armada was trapped. Your empire has never faced humans before. Stone's voice echoed through every Imperial ship. You thought we were primitive because we didn't match your standard patterns. But that's humanity's greatest strength. We don't follow patterns. We break them. Within hours, the Imperial main fleet was in ruins. Thousands of ships floated powerless in space, their crews surrendering to the Thunder Warriors. Those that could still flee did so, carrying with them tales of an enemy unlike any the Empire had ever faced. In the aftermath, Stone received a message from Earth's government. The Empire will retaliate, the President warned. Good, Stone replied, a grim smile on his face. Because now we're not just defending. Guardian has analyzed their technology, their tactics, their entire military structure. The next phase isn't about protecting Earth anymore. It's about taking the fight to them. As captured Imperial ships were towed toward Earth's shipyards for study, the Empire was about to learn another harsh lesson. Awakening humanity's full military potential hadn't just been a mistake. It had been the beginning of their end. 2 weeks after defeating the Imperial main fleet, Earth's forces were ready for their first major offensive. Admiral Stone named it Operation Thunderstrike, a plan to strike 3 Imperial core systems simultaneously. In the command center of humanity's new flagship, the Thunder, Stone reviewed the final preparations. The ship itself was a marvel of human engineering, built using captured Imperial technology combined with Earth's innovations. It was smaller than Imperial vessels, but far more dangerous. Guardian has mapped all Imperial defense networks, Officer Wilson reported from his new advanced console. Their entire military runs on standardized protocols. They never expected anyone to hack their systems. Status of the Thunder Warriors? Stone asked, watching as Earth's fleet assembled for the jump. All enhanced soldiers report ready, replied Captain Wells, the Thunder Warriors commander. Her own biomechanical enhancements gave her eyes a slight blue glow. The new Imperial tech we've adapted to our suits makes them twice as effective. Stone nodded and opened a channel to all ships. All units, this is Admiral Stone. For centuries, the Empire has bullied and conquered peaceful worlds. Today, we show them why they should have run when we warned them. Begin Operation Thunderstrike. Earth's fleet split into 3 battle groups, each led by a command ship carrying Guardian's quantum processors. Unlike the Empire's massive, slow capital ships, human vessels were fast and adaptable. They appeared from hyperspace directly inside Imperial defenses, their arrival timed to the microsecond by Guardian's calculations. The Imperial response was exactly what Guardian had predicted. They followed their ancient battle doctrines without deviation. Against any other enemy, their overwhelming numbers would have guaranteed victory. Against humans, it was their greatest weakness. Target their command centers first, Stone ordered as his fleet emerged above the Imperial capital world of Praxis. Guardian, begin electronic warfare protocols. Imperial ships suddenly found their weapons targeting their own allies. Communication systems broadcast static. Defense platforms turned against the facilities they were meant to protect. Guardian had turned the Empire's rigid, standardized military into a weapon against itself. The Thunder Warriors deployed next, dropping onto key Imperial facilities in pods that looked like debris from the battle. Inside Imperial command centers, enhanced human soldiers moved like ghosts through the chaos. They didn't just fight. They adapted, improvised, and used the environment in ways Imperial troops had never imagined possible. "Sir," Wilson called out, excitement in his voice. "Reports coming in from all 3 systems. Imperial forces are falling back. Their commanders don't know how to handle simultaneous attacks that don't follow standard patterns." On Praxis, Imperial Governor Wells watched in horror as his supposedly impregnable fortress fell to just 20 Thunder Warriors. They hadn't attacked head-on like proper soldiers. They'd come through maintenance tunnels, used service robots as distractions, and somehow turned the climate control system into a weapon. How? He demanded as the Thunder Warriors secured him. How are you defeating our superior numbers? Because we're human, Captain Wells answered, her enhanced armor making her tower over him. We don't follow your rules. We make our own. Within 6 hours, all 3 systems had fallen to Earth's forces. The Imperial military, designed to fight traditional battles against traditional enemies, had no defense against humanity's combination of advanced AI, enhanced soldiers, and unconventional tactics. Back on the Thunder, Stone received reports from all 3 battle groups. Total human casualties, 0. Imperial military assets captured, over 60%. Civilian casualties, also 0, thanks to Guardian's precise targeting. Send word to Earth, Stone ordered. Phase 1 of Thunderstrike successful. Begin preparing Phase 2. And broadcast this message on all Imperial frequencies. We warned you to run. You didn't listen. Now we're coming for the rest of your empire, not to conquer, but to free every world you've enslaved. As Earth's forces secured their new positions, the Empire faced a terrifying reality. They hadn't just lost 3 vital systems. They'd lost them to an enemy that fought like no other. An enemy that turned their own strength against them. An enemy that had warned them, tried to show mercy, and was now demonstrating why that warning should have been heeded. The Empire had spent millennia building the perfect military machine. Humanity had just shown them that perfection was their greatest flaw, and the real war was only beginning. The Imperial Palace shook as another explosion lit up the night sky. In the Grand Throne Room, the Emperor watched emergency broadcasts from across his realm. Every screen showed the same thing, defeat after defeat. 20 systems lost in 2 weeks, his chief advisor reported, voice trembling. The humans, they found a way to disable our faster-than-light travel networks. The Empire is being cut into pieces. On the flagship Thunder, Admiral Stone and Guardian were executing their master plan. The AI had discovered that all Imperial FTL drives used the same basic frequency. Now, human ships were placing special disruptor beacons throughout Imperial space, creating zones where only Earth ships could travel freely. Report from the Thunder Warriors, sir, Officer Wilson announced. They've captured another Imperial shipyard. That's the 5th one this week. Stone nodded, studying the strategic display. The once mighty empire was now divided into isolated sectors, unable to support each other. How are the liberation efforts going? Better than expected, Wilson replied. Once Guardian disables their control systems, most Imperial governors surrender without a fight. The local populations are actually helping us. This was humanity's true weapon against the Empire, not just military might, but hope. Every world they freed joined their cause, providing more resources and soldiers for the next battle. In a distant Imperial sector, Governor Reed of Colony World 259 made a decision. He watched as human forces liberated the neighboring system, treating civilians with respect and leaving local governments in place. Send the message, he ordered his staff. Tell the humans we wish to surrender and join their alliance. Similar scenes played out across the Empire. Worlds that had suffered under Imperial rule for generations saw their chance for freedom. The Empire's own propaganda worked against them. They had boasted for so long about being unbeatable that every human victory inspired more systems to rebel. Back in the Imperial Palace, more bad news arrived. My Emperor, a general reported, we're losing contact with entire fleets. The humans, they're not just defeating our ships, they're converting them to their cause. This was Guardian's work. The AI had learned to reprogram captured Imperial vessels, turning them into automated drones that fought for Earth. The Empire's standardized technology, once their pride, had become their greatest vulnerability. On the Thunder, Stone received an urgent message from Earth Command. The Thunder Warriors had discovered something critical in a captured Imperial database. Sir, Captain Wells reported, her enhanced eyes glowing with excitement. We found their crown jewel. The Imperial Central Control Network. Every automated system in their empire is connected to it. Stone turned to the holographic representation of Guardian. Can you access it? The AI's response was immediate. Affirmative. Imperial security is based on predictable patterns. I can take control of their entire infrastructure within 48 hours. Stone opened a channel to all human forces. All units, prepare for Operation Checkmate. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Across Imperial space, the final phase began. Guardian infiltrated the Central Control Network, and the Empire's own security systems turned against them. Doors wouldn't open for Imperial officers. Defense turrets identified Imperial ships as enemies. Communication networks broadcast the truth about human victories. In the Imperial Palace, chaos erupted as basic systems failed. The Emperor watched helplessly as his own royal guards were locked out of their armor by Guardian's commands. Send the surrender order, his advisors begged, before it's too late. But the Emperor's pride wouldn't let him admit defeat. Never. The Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. We cannot be defeated by primitives. Then a new message appeared on every screen in Imperial space. Admiral Stone's face looked out at billions of beings on thousands of worlds. People of the Empire, he said calmly, your rulers had a chance to avoid this. We warned them to run. Now we offer you a choice. Freedom with us, or imprisonment with them. The response was immediate. Imperial worlds, seeing their chance, began declaring independence. The mighty empire, which had seemed invincible just months ago, was falling apart from within. As Stone watched the empire crumble, Officer Wilson asked quietly, "Did we plan for it to end this way?" "No," Stone replied. "We planned for something much harder." But they never understood that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our soldiers. It's our ability to offer a better way. The empire was breaking, not just militarily, but culturally. They had spent millennia enforcing order and conformity, never realizing that their greatest enemy would be the chaos of freedom itself. The great halls of the Imperial Palace were silent for the first time in 10,000 years. No servants rushed through its corridors. No guards stood at their posts. The Empire's heart was dying. Admiral Stone stood on the Thunder's Bridge, watching real-time updates from across former Imperial space. Green lights were appearing everywhere on the map, showing worlds declaring their independence. "Another sector has joined us, sir," Officer Wilson reported. "That makes 300 systems in just the last day. They're calling themselves the Free Worlds now." Stone nodded, remembering the warning they had given the Empire months ago. "Guardian, show me the current stats." The AI displayed the numbers. 60% of Imperial worlds had declared independence. 25% had requested Earth's protection. Only 15% remained loyal to the Emperor, and most of those were worlds directly around the Imperial capital. Message from the Thunder Warriors. Admiral, Captain Wells called from her station, her enhanced vision scanning multiple screens at once. "They've secured another Imperial fleet base. The crews are asking to join us." This was happening everywhere now. Imperial military units, seeing their empire collapse, were choosing sides. Most chose freedom. The Empire's iron discipline was crumbling in the face of hope. On the former Imperial world of Nova Prime, locals celebrated in the streets. They tore down Imperial symbols and raised their own flags. Human peacekeepers watched from a distance, intervening only to prevent violence. "Is this how Earth really operates?" a local leader asked his human advisor. "You free us and then, just let us choose our own path." "That's exactly how we operate," the advisor replied. "Freedom isn't about replacing one ruler with another. It's about giving people choices." Back on the Thunder, Stone received an urgent message from Earth Command. The Thunder Warriors had discovered something in the Imperial Palace's secret archives. "Sir," Captain Wells reported, her face grim on the screen, "we found proof. The Empire didn't just conquer other species, they erased their cultures. made everyone follow Imperial standards. They tried to make the galaxy boring. Stone understood now why their victory had been so complete. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Empire's military. They had shown the galaxy that diversity was strength, not weakness. In the Imperial Senate chamber, now controlled by human forces, representatives from 100 worlds gathered. Some were tall and elegant, others short and sturdy. Some breathed different atmospheres, others existed as pure energy. All had been forced to hide their unique traits under Imperial rule. Earth offers you this choice. Stone addressed them through a hologram. Join us in forming a new alliance, not an empire, but a federation. Each world free to govern itself, united only by common goals and mutual respect. The chamber erupted in cheers. Species that had been enemies under Imperial rule now found themselves working together, sharing their unique strengths and perspectives. On world after world, Imperial governors faced a choice: adapt or step down. Most chose to step down, seeing the writing on the wall. Those who resisted found themselves facing not just Thunder Warriors, but their own people. Another military report. "Sir," Officer Wilson called out. "The Imperial Third Fleet just surrendered. Their admiral says they want to learn from us." This was perhaps humanity's greatest victory. They hadn't just conquered the Empire. They had shown a better way. Imperial military doctrine, focused on overwhelming force and rigid control, crumbled before human adaptability and creativity. Guardian's hologram appeared on the bridge. "Admiral, analysis complete. At current rates, the Empire will cease to exist as a political entity within 7 days. Recommend preparing transition protocols." Stone opened a channel to all human forces. "All units, begin Operation New Dawn. Our job now isn't to fight, but to help build. These people have lived under Imperial control for generations. They'll need help learning to be free." As the message went out, Stone watched the tactical display. The red dots representing Imperial control were vanishing, replaced by the green of free worlds. Humanity had warned the Empire to run, but in the end, they had done something better. They had shown the galaxy how to stand up and be free. The revolution wasn't just political or military. It was cultural, spiritual, a fundamental shift in how countless species saw themselves and their place in the galaxy. And it had all started because an empire hadn't listened to a simple warning: run. The golden doors of the Imperial throne room opened slowly. Admiral Stone walked in, his footsteps echoing through the vast chamber. The Emperor sat alone on his grand throne, watching as human forces and their allies secured the last symbol of Imperial power. "You could have run," Stone said quietly, stopping at the foot of the throne. "We gave you that chance." The Emperor looked older now, his purple skin pale. 10,000 years of order, destroyed by primitives who don't even follow proper military doctrine. "That's why we won," Stone replied. "We never learned to follow. We learned to adapt." Outside the palace, ships from 100 freed worlds filled the sky. Their designs were all different now, no longer bound by Imperial standards. Some were elegant, others practical, each reflecting their builder's culture. Officer Wilson's voice came through Stone's communicator. "Sir, Guardian reports the last Imperial holdout worlds have surrendered. The Empire, it's over." In the following days, representatives from every freed world gathered on Earth. They met not in a grand palace, but in a simple conference center. Humans had insisted on this. No more shows of overwhelming power. Captain Wells stood with her Thunder Warriors, watching species that had been enemies under Imperial rule now working together. Her enhanced vision caught subtle details: former Imperial officers learning to smile, freed slaves standing tall, artificial beings discussing art with organic life forms. "The first meeting of the Galactic Federation will now begin," Stone announced to the gathered delegates. "Every world has an equal voice here. We build this together, or not at all." The differences from Imperial rule were immediate. Instead of receiving orders, worlds shared ideas. Instead of conforming to standards, they celebrated their unique qualities. Guardian helped coordinate but never controlled, showing how I could serve without dominating. The humans could have taken over, one alien delegate whispered to another. They had the power, but they chose to free us instead. This was humanity's true victory, not the military wins, not the technological superiority, but showing the galaxy a better way to exist together. In orbit above Earth, the Thunder had been transformed. No longer a warship, it now served as a training center. Imperial military officers learned new ways of thinking. Freed worlds developed their own defense forces, and the Thunder warriors became teachers instead of soldiers. It's strange, Officer Wilson said to Stone as they watched the changes. We prepared for years of war, but in the end, our greatest weapon was hope. Stone nodded, remembering their first warning to the Empire. Sometimes the strongest position isn't the one with the biggest guns. It's the one with the best ideas. A month after the Empire's fall, Stone stood before the first graduating class of the Federation's new peacekeeping force. The group included former Imperial soldiers, freed world volunteers, and even some enhanced humans. All had chosen to serve together. You're not here to enforce conformity, Stone told them. You're here to protect diversity. That's humanity's gift to the galaxy, the understanding that our differences make us stronger. Guardian's hologram appeared, showing the transformation across former Imperial space. Where there had been uniform Imperial architecture, now local styles flourished. Where there had been silence, now there was music. Where there had been fear, now there was hope. Final report, Admiral, Guardian announced. Analysis shows a 98.7% decrease in conflict across all former Imperial territories. Prediction models suggest sustained peace through cultural exchange and mutual respect. Stone looked out at the stars, not as a battlefield now, but as an endless frontier of possibilities. The Empire had tried to make the galaxy simple, orderly, and predictable. Humanity had shown that chaos, creativity, and change were the true natural state of life. Send this message to all Federation worlds, Stone ordered. Remember this day. We warned the Empire to run, not because we wanted to rule as they did, but because we knew there was a better way. Today, we all walked that path together. As celebrations erupted across thousands of worlds, the galaxy entered a new age. The Empire that never had war with humans had learned too late why they should have run. But in failing to heed that warning, they had helped create something better. A future where every species could find its own path among the stars. The end.